Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. It's Friday night. You're inside The Lock Shop with Dustin Nielson and Andrew Hustler Patterson, brought to you by our friends at Coolbet Canada. Chris Abbott's going to pop by for his Friday night visit. Huss, you get a haircut, buddy? What's going on here?
You know what? I am proud to do the first Lock Shop for all of our listeners and viewers without a hat on because, yes, in fact, I did get my first haircut in 6 months. Well, I mean, I got it cut in early September. Then I was in the hospital for 2 months. Came out the day Manitoba went into code red and basically was a prisoner for the next little while. And shout out to my guy Jer at Hunter and Gun in Winnipeg. It was great to see him. And fresh cut. Didn't go with the fade. I was considering maybe going with the Mahomes actually, but I don't think I could pull it off. So.
Not after that Super Bowl. I mean, after last year's Super Bowl, maybe. That's all right. I could use a haircut too. It's getting a little messy. But I'm a hat guy.
Anything goes right now in the quarantine world. You can get away with any haircut. Even now that it's open, I think people got to the point where they're sort of liking the flow and they've got an excuse. Oh, well, it's quarantine. Tough to get in to get a haircut right now. I'm just letting it go.
We'll get to Lock Shop here in just a second. You see the lineup card. We got Puck Picks, Dog Pound, Partner Parlay. Chris Abbott's going to pop by. We'll talk some Scotties. Deshaun Watson had some preferred destinations. We got some numbers on that at Coolbet, so we'll do that as well. You can sign up for an account if you do not have one yet. Coolbet.com. When you sign up, if you enter the bonus code LOCKSHOP, that'll get you 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. We got some. We had pretty good week in hockey. We'll get to that in a second. But Huss, I want to go back because you said no haircut. Obviously, you were in the hospital. What was the bathing situation like? Was it a sponge bath like in Seinfeld, or was that not the case?
No. That would have been outstanding. Get down to a little spa, get some TLC on there. I was getting around relatively good. I could sort of stand. It wasn't easy, but got the job done. There's a lot of the mundane things of day-to-day life that you take for granted become a lot more difficult with the spinal injury. But it's seemingly getting better, although it seems it's going to take a while. But it's great to be able to be out, shower, wash properly, and get a haircut, Dusty.
That's huge. That's huge news. You're right. All right. Hey, so tell me about this parlay you hit yesterday, because I hit one as well.
Well, we all know that, for public picks on the Lock Shop, as well as my Twitter, we put the Jets on the suspended list, or I put the Jets on the suspended list for the month of February, and they're playing really well right now. Now, last night, the Habs have been horrible. Now, they fired their coach, and I'm not sure whether everyone just thought, well, this is the old new coach, bounce back, they'll come in, they'll be great, and they'll win. But I tweeted this out, basically suggesting the Jets without suggesting that while they're on the suspended list, it makes no sense that the Jets are a home underdog to Montreal, considering the way both teams are playing. And wild game. Jets were down 2-0 and 3-1, stormed back, though. And, late in the last 5 minutes of the game, the Jets were up 5-3 after Dubois scored. And, usually you get the pushback from the team that's down 2-0. It looked like the Jets were the team that was trailing by 2, the amount of pressure that they had. I don't know what's up with Montreal, but I got to tell you, this is they are bottoming out right now after a great start to the season. And it's really interesting. I mean, the Leafs have been at the top of the division the entire time, but we're seeing now the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets kind of assert themselves near the top of the division as opposed to more in the middle on that playoff line. So I know both Jets fans and Oilers fans are really looking forward to tomorrow night to see if their teams can continue their hot play.
Yeah, it should be good. The Oilers, they've been lights out. And we'll get to it with our puck picks here in just a second. They've won 11-13. They're winning games on the under more often than not, which I didn't think we would ever say about
Mike
this
Smith.
Oilers team. With Mike Smith.
And this goes back to those two, the Jets-Oilers game. Was it last week, Monday, Wednesday? The 6-5 game was crazy. I thought the Jets stunk in that game, and they actually won. And then they played a far better game on Wednesday and ended up losing 3-2. It was probably appropriate that those two teams split those games. But Smith in the game on Wednesday was phenomenal. I mean, he was the reason why they won that game, and he hasn't looked back. A huge performance last night, getting the shutout, and all of a sudden that big question about is the Oilers goaltending going to be their Achilles heel, at least as of late, has turned into a strength with the resurgence of Mike Smith. I just realized I didn't answer your original question though when I got into mentioning the Jets being on the suspended list. It was the parlay, 2 home dogs, Jets and the Ottawa Senators. And listen, I'm falling in love with the Sens right now. This team plays their ass off. The young players are getting a bit of mojo. And you look what they did to the Leafs and then what they did last night to Calgary. Tell you what, from a Jets fan perspective, it's nice to have 5 games out of the way already against Ottawa with some points in the bank, because I think getting those 2 against Ottawa is going to be more challenging as we get closer to the season, as this team grows under DJ Smith. They've been great lately.
Yeah, you're right. That's a fair point. I mean, as that team continues to go, they're going to be spoiling a lot. Let's just say that. They could be spoiling a lot down the stretch legitimately as well. And the only bet that we missed from a hockey perspective on Tuesday's episode of The Lock Shop was Connor McDavid over 1.5. I was back on it last night. He got the empty netter to cover that. And I haven't got into it too much yet, but when I do, I get really excited about him. And I had a 3-player 1-point parlay. And I was on Pat Kane, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. All they had to do was get a point. So Pat Kane didn't have anything through 2 periods. Connor McDavid didn't have anything through 2 periods. Sidney Crosby didn't have anything through 2 periods. And I'm like, damn it, this is a waste. Sure enough, they all got points in the 3rd period, and I ended up hitting on that one. It was like plus 135 or something. But we're talking some of the most prolific offensive players of all time. I love mixing those guys in on a parlay like that.
Oh, you know what? Those are fun. And I mean, I usually go on sides, puck lines, but more and more, especially with the offerings at CoolBet, I'm kind of getting dragged into some of these fun player point props. And you know what? It's good that you continued on that, because we completely, to use a pro wrestling term, it was a complete reversal. We flipped our fortunes, called the shot, a huge show on Tuesday, both perfect in the with the underdogs. I finally got a puck pick to go. You were so close. And by the way, McDavid did have the puck on his stick with an open net with about 2 seconds left in that game. We were that close to perfect. And the curling parlay cashed as well. So it was an outstanding Tuesday. We had some great feedback from the listeners. Now, Dustin, we need to keep it going.
Let's get back to business. Puck picks for Saturday in the National Hockey League. Huss, where are you going, buddy?
You know what? This is an interesting one. Again, we were kind of waiting on lines for Saturday's games. And, we've got the Carolina Hurricanes against the Florida Panthers. And I know it says at Canes. I'm pretty sure this game is actually in Florida. And that is why... it is. It's a 6:00 game on Florida. So just so you know, this is the Canes on the road. And it's a pick'em. I'm a big fan of Carolina. I think they're, one of the elite teams in that division. And the Panthers, as a Manitoba guy, watching what Chris Driedger is doing in net is just phenomenal. We had him on the show last year when he was sort of kind of emerging, and he had this crazy .930 save percentage. And it was just sort of a nice story, but he's there with the $10 million goalie. Well, Coach Q doesn't give a damn about the size of the check going to Bob right now, and Driedger is getting, and he's earning these starts. So I'm hoping that it's a Bob spot tomorrow with the Canes going in. We will see. Just at the end of it, I think the Canes, after losing to Tampa 3-1 on Thursday night, get it back together, assert themselves over the Panthers. And I was surprised that this was a pick 'em. I kind of thought that the Canes, with what they've done, would maybe be minus 120, minus 125. So I know we usually take maybe a bigger odds on that, but I love the Canes as a pick 'em. I think there's great value there. And I think they get back in the win column after a tough game last night against the Bolts.
We look at a couple of things here with the Hurricanes and the Panthers, and the Canes have started to show it last year. But the Panthers and the Canes are 2 teams, at least for me, I've been waiting for them. Like you say, hey, this could be it for the Panthers this year. They got Barkov, they got Huberdeau. I'm talking like going back 1-2 years ago, and they just couldn't do it. It was always Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston. Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston. Same sort of thing over and over. But here these 2 teams are. Great starts to the season. Huss, are you legitimately buying into either of these teams as trouble in the East for some of these longtime contenders.
I still listen. I'm obviously I'm picking against them at home, so I mean I'm not completely sold on the Panthers, but I mean they're 13-4-2 right now, and Bobrovsky hasn't been very good. And last time I checked, he was like 5-1-1. I mean, both their goaltenders have incredible records. Dreger's been the story as far as the incredible save percentage and maybe stealing a few games. But I got to tell you, the Panthers are fascinating that they are where they are because, I mean, they let some pretty big-time offensive players walk. I mean, Dadonov had 3 straight 25-goal seasons. He was gone. Hoffman pushed 30. He's gone. And, you bring over a guy like Carter Verhaeghe, who just didn't have a spot to make things happen in Tampa. He's been a revelation for them so far. And they're really getting production from top of the lineup, but it starts in net. And Dreger's been so strong this year. And it's great. I think it's sort of pushing Bob. It'll make him be better going forward. And that's a great position to be in if you've got 2 goaltenders battling and, really showing yourself. Put it this way, if a $10 million guy's on the bench, that probably means another guy is playing very, very well. So I guess we'll see. I'm not a big Panthers. I mean, overall, I'm still stunned, actually, when you look and see that record. Canes, however, I think they are the biggest challenger to Tampa in that division right now. And tell you what, I would love to see a 7-game series between those 2 teams coming up in the spring.
Carolina's got a lot of talent like Tampa, and it's young guys too who are going to take that next step still. So that's good. My puck pick, I'm going to ride the red-hot Edmonton Oilers. They have won 5 in a row. They have won 11 of 13. I'm a little bit surprised that they're opening even as a little bit of an underdog, considering Austin Matthews has some sort of wrist injury where if he plays and doesn't play as well, there's an excuse there anyway. So we'll see how that works out. Freddie Anderson still hasn't been on the ice. So, I mean, you're looking at a Michael Hutchinson start here, likely for the Toronto Maple Leafs. With that being said, we'll see how it plays out on Saturday morning. But all that being said, the Oilers have been the best team in the North for 2.5 weeks. They're still a home dog against the Leafs.
That is stunning, to be honest. When we were looking at the games beforehand, I was sort of, is this a spot where the Leafs might be able to win? I was kind of considering them for the dog pound before moving on to another game. I did not expect the Oilers to be opening up at plus money. I would imagine, and you make a great point. I mean, the goaltending situation. I mean, if their last line of defense against Connor McDavid is Hutch, I mean, no offense. We loved him here in Winnipeg. Was great for the Moose. Did some good things for the Jets, but yikes. That's not a team I'd be laying any money on going forward with the goaltending situation. You're moving up a couple weight classes when you're looking across at number 97. So should be a great matchup, though. Awesome Saturday. And, of course, that game is early, and then we have to wait till a local 9 p.m. start for the Jets and Habs to go at it, getting second-class treatment from the national broadcaster. But it's a hell of a doubleheader going into the games on the weekend.
All right, let's get to the dog pound puck picks. Huss is on the Canes at -110. I'm at the Oilers at +103, which is where we're expecting to open. Let's get to the dog pound. Then we will bring in Chris Abbott from Quebec, Canada. We'll talk a little curling with Chris, and obviously he'll be a part of our partner parlay as well. Huss, when we look at the dog pound, you're 6-2. I'm 5-3. We both hit our dogs on Tuesday. Let's keep this rolling. What do you got here for the weekend?
That is the plan. And I'm going back to a team that has been pretty good for us so far this year, and that is the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets, for whatever reason, I think are consistently undervalued. We talked about the Jets beginning, a smaller market, a lot of people maybe not paying attention to them, early in the season. When you compared them to other teams, the odds just didn't make sense. They're 50-1, and teams that, are in their same neighborhood as far as skill, quality, talent are 25-30. And the Jackets are a similar team to that. But this is also a bit of a bet against the Nashville Predators. Now, again, the Preds did get me in the win column in the puck pick against Detroit last Tuesday. But again, they're sweating out these games against teams like Detroit. I mean, it was 0-0 after 2. They got to go early in the third and then made it 2-0, and that was the end. But I'm down with the Blue Jackets. I think they've been through, obviously they've got Roslovic and Laine who have really added a boost. And I love the goaltending in Columbus. That's not something that they're getting on a consistent basis in Nashville. And the team just can't score very well. The Jackets are a bitch to play at home or on the road. I think this is a tough spot for Nashville. And on a Saturday where it was tough to find some underdogs that you really felt good about, when I saw that number at plus 120 for the Jackets at Nashville, I figured that would be the pick.
All right, so Jackets plus 120 for Huss. I'm barely on the dog here. I got the Pens at plus 101 against the Islanders on the road here against an Islanders team that's coming off putting up 7 at home against the Boston Bruins. It was a 2-on-1 extravaganza for the Islanders against Boston. Pittsburgh's had a steady diet of the Capitals as of late. So the Islanders, I mean, I don't see the Islanders exploding again for 7 here. So I like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Anytime you can get the Penguins, I don't care if they're on the road or if they're a very, very rare home underdog. Anytime you can get the Pens as a dog, I don't mind moving on that. So Penguins at plus 101 against the Islanders. Huss, your thoughts on the Islanders? I mean, that's that team kind of with the Panthers, kind of with the Hurricanes, and they're all in that same group.
Listen, I'm a huge Barry Trotz guy. I think he is, he gets more out of his roster than just about anybody in the National Hockey League. And, Varlamov showing up in town, I mean, he has really, emerged as an elite quality number 1 goaltender that you can rely on night in and night out. I mean, Matt Barzal is a real star. You've got some other players, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, love some of the players on the blue line. But to me, the parts will come and go from the New York Islanders. You pretty much know what you're going to get. If you're going to beat New York, you're going to have to work really damn hard and play a really good game. Boston found that out last night. But again, do they have that elite talent that puts them ahead of a lot of other teams? No. And that's why spots like this, you'll see them win some games as underdogs, but also lose the odd time. And, the Pens, they were the dog pound pick on Tuesday, got it done. It was a little bit of a sweat going into OT. But this is one of those spots, and I do fear a little bit for the Islanders that maybe they blew their wad with dropping 7 against the Bruins. We'll see what they've got left for Sid the Kid on Saturday.
These two teams did play last week twice. Penguins won 4-1. Penguins won 3-2. Now the Penguins are an underdog, and they've won the last 2 games between these two teams. So I like the Pens at plus 101 there. Let's get to our parlay, and then we'll bring in Chris Abbott, who's waiting and watching. He'll join us here right away. I've already laid out my case for Edmonton at plus 103. I like him a lot as my puck pick. I'm going to bring him into the parlay here as well. We've got a 3-game parlay that pays plus 386. So I'm on Edmonton plus 103 against the Leafs. Huss, who you bringing into the partner parlay?
I'm going with Tampa against Dallas. I think Tampa's playing well right now. They had that big win against the Hurricanes on Thursday night, and Dallas coming off a tough 3-2 loss to the Florida Panthers. I mean, to me, this is just a team that is a step ahead class-wise from the Dallas Stars. And, of course, they remember each other from playing each other last year in the bubble for all the marbles. 190, the kind of the goal for the parlay is to not screw it up for everybody else. So I went with a bit riskier pick in the puck picks with the pick'em for Carolina, but trying to go with the reliable team. Pretty much know what you're going to get from Tampa. They're a tough team to beat. Give me the Bolts on the parlay at minus 190.
That parlay guilt is real, isn't it, Huss? Like we've all been there.
Listen, sometimes I found myself far more concerned about my pick for the team parlay than actual bets I have made on games that are going on. You're like, oh God, I don't want to be the guy that screws it up. Come on. So let's see if we can go 3 for 3 this weekend.
There's 2/3. We got Edmonton at plus 103, Tampa at minus 190, Chris Abbott from CoolBet at minus 175 on the Calgary Flames, and he joins us now. Chris, you better not let us down, buddy.
Eventually, betting against Ottawa's got to pay off for me, right? Right? Are they going to lose? Okay, but I mean, here's the way I look at this one. The Flames actually had 2 really good efforts against the Leafs this week. I thought the Leafs shot themselves in the foot with their power play changes. And if you follow me on Twitter, you're well aware of my disdain for just arbitrarily changing what was the best power play in the league and flipping sides for Matthews and moving Hyman to power play too. Like, come on. But anyway, I do think Calgary put forth a couple of good efforts. Obviously, David Redick, what he did in those 2 games is unsustainable. He got lit up in Ottawa in game one, but with a day, almost 2 full days off, I think I like Calgary to rebound here. Whether it's Markstrom, whether it's Riddick, I think, this Senators team, we said it at the beginning of the year, we're going to cause some headaches, but I don't see them just like going on this absolute tear right now. So I feel good getting Calgary under -200, to be honest, in this parlay.
The resurgence of Big Save Dave has to be one of the big stories out of the North Division this week. I mean, he'd gone just about a year without winning a game and then drops those performances back to back against a team that was seemingly scoring at will going into the games.
Yeah, it was unbelievable the way he played. And then if you're a Leafs fan and you're watching the puck sail past him in Ottawa, you're like, are you kidding me? But that's hockey, right? And that's hockey. But I was really impressed with him. And hey, now maybe they don't have to ride Jacob Markstrom as much as they did because he seems to have a little bit of swagger back. A little concerned he might have a concussion though going into this game.
Well, I was going to say, stand on your head against the Leafs, bang your head against the door against the Sens. That's just how it worked for Dave Riddick. It wasn't very ideal for him. You talked about it, Chris, with the Leafs. Huge matchups coming up here, 3 games in a row against the Oilers. And we'll get to the game in a second. But as far as markets and like public teams for Coolbet, is a Toronto-Edmonton game going to be among some of the biggest that you guys will see action on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've already discussed on this show and others how much action we take from Alberta and specifically the Edmonton area, and of course Southern Ontario. Just with the population alone, you get a lot of diehard Leafs fans. Even it's so funny, and Dusty, you get it too in your market. Like just a comment that you feel like is a throwaway on Twitter. A lot of people with a lot of strong opinions will comment on those. So, yeah, I mean, there's some staunch defenders of the team, no matter what is the reality going on out there. So it will be a big game. It looks like the Leafs are going to open as a slight favorite. That may change with the news that Austin Matthews doesn't look like he's playing. So, I mean, to me, in my mind, Edmonton was probably a favorite coming into this game, the way the week has gone for the Leafs and the way the last couple of weeks have gone for the Oilers. So if you can get Edmonton at a pick'em or as a slight underdog, I absolutely love it.
Me too. I like it quite a bit. Go ahead, Huss.
Well, yeah, he loves it so much. It's both the puck pick and it's on the parlay. I mean, that's doubling down on the responsibility, but the opportunity. It has happened a couple times before. But it's dangerous. But his balls are going all in. And I'll tell you what, if the team right now that has earned it, I mean, the Oilers have done that the way they've been playing.
Yeah, you guys don't mess around with your parlays. There's no let's take a little bit of a safer pick. No, not at all. Let's throw an underdog into the parlay. Like, why not?
I think at some point we got to hit one.
Yeah. Well, listen, underdogs are the reason that sportsbooks love people betting parlays. We've already discussed the curling thing a bit, but everyone comes in and bets favorite parlays on the money line, and invariably someone busts it up. And at the time we're recording this, sensational Sherry Anderson is out to another lead as an underdog. Like it's absolutely unreal what's been going on with the Scotties this week.
Sherry, yeah. For folks that want to check out, Chris and I did about a half-hour show heading into the championship round today on the Coolbet sites. So go to Coolbet on Twitter and you can see that replay. And just quickly on the curling, Chris, how has it gone for you guys? I mean, I know myself tweeting out some picks. I mean, I live in Winnipeg, which is a hotbed for curling, and certainly you see how many Manitoba teams are there. But people are into it. People have been getting into it. I mean, have you seen a lot of people kind of getting into making a few wagers on curling that hadn't done it before?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a kind of a slow week when it comes to sports betting for some reason. I think I don't know, maybe just the time of the year and the general malaise, and maybe the Christmas bills are rolling in as well. But this event has been an absolute whirlwind for us, and people are, the first couple of days of the event, we saw our registration numbers absolutely spike. Yeah, I don't mind saying it. We've taken over $300,000 worth of bets on this event, awesome. Which is absolutely massive. I mean, it's women's curling, and it's only available to people in Canada through Coolbet. So to get that kind of handle on this event just shows that it's an on-tap marketplace for sure when it comes to sports betting.
I think it's
shout out to Sensational Sherry. She was the MVP of the play-in round. The wily veteran with all of these young teams. God, she's amazing.
I think what this really shows, Chris, is that you guys have done a good job in this country getting out there. I think you've got people signing. You said numbers are skyrocketing here. Anytime anybody's tweeting at me about a bet they've won, it's on Cool Bet's mobile site. So I think you've done a pretty good job getting out there, and you might as well reap the benefits of the crazy curling crowd. It's amazing.
Well, and we're just getting going, Chris, because we got the Briar in a week.
Just getting going. We got the Briar in a week, and thank you, Dusty, and listen, your shows have been no small part of that, and Hustler, you as well. So I mean, there's great partnership happening, and the Briar's coming up, and you talk about sports that not a lot of that don't get as much play as they deserve, but have passionate fan bases in this country. We're about to announce a partnership with a professional rugby team as well. So that's another group of people who absolutely love to have a lot of fun. So it's things are looking up, and we're really excited about the way things are rolling out for Cool Bet here in Canada.
Excellent. What you're saying is I'm going to have to learn the rules for rugby and get ready to start wagering on another.
Are you not versed in rugby? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's sort of one of those sports where I pretty much know what's going on, but I don't really know everything that's going on. And many of the intricacies, I've turned into a big Aussie rules football guy. Those late night 3 a.m. broadcasts, like I said, that you sometimes get sucked into.
I get sucked into those all the time.
It's great.
It's funny, Huss, that you brought that up, because the last time I went out with any buddies, we were in Lethbridge for our fantasy football draft in August. And the one bar we usually go to had already closed. We're like, okay, we'll just go to Hudson's and we'll have a couple drinks at the end of the night. We sat down at around 12:45, and there was an Aussie rules game that was just starting. And we were live betting it. We were crushing. It ended up being the best part of the entire night. It's hilarious that you brought that up. It was wild.
Big fan, have done it many a time. Nice little way to get into it.
That's good.
The midday start in Sydney, starting at 2 a.m. in Canada.
Just goes to show you can make any sports on TV real interesting, real fast.
Yeah, you're right on that one. Chris, great stuff, buddy. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll catch up next week, okay?
Thanks,
awesome,
dude.
Boys. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
There you go. That is Chris Abbott from Cool Bet Canada. Nice looking shirt. We got to get our hands on a couple of those for sure. Huss, Scotties, you've been the betting voice in this country for Scotty so far. By all accounts, you've been having a pretty good run. What are we looking at moving forward here?
Well, so again, we're taping this Friday afternoon for broadcast tonight. So by the time people are seeing this, we'll have already had round 1 of the championship round. What we're seeing right now on the screen, these are the odds to win the Scotties going into round 1 of the championship round. And for those people that don't know, 4 teams went through each group. So there's 8 teams remaining. They will all play the teams from the other side that they haven't played. All the wins carry over. So the Holman and Inerson rinks are clear favorites because they come in with only 1 loss. You've got some other teams like Sherry Anderson from Saskatchewan, Jen Jones, and Quebec that are 6-2. And then the 3-loss teams are real long shots, because not only would they have to run the table to get to 8-3, but also probably rely on a little bit of help to at least get into some sort of a tiebreaker. So all that being said, you're really looking at, there's a reason why those numbers at the top are what they are. Holman plus 150 to Inerson's plus 200, really based on Holman beating Inerson yesterday, giving her first loss. I think the value is actually on Inerson. I mean, I think that game could have gone either way. I do think Holman has played very well in that matchup, but had some moments earlier, just like all the other teams. But the cream right now is rising to the top. I think we'll see those 2 teams at the end, and really a battle between Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Quebec for that 3rd spot in the playoffs. And I'll tell you what, whoever does finish first goes straight to that final, has the hammer. I think it'll be incredibly important. And I guess Holman has a bit of an inside track on that, because she was technically first in the pool and has the tiebreaker versus Inerson. But I got in a plus 200 on Inerson, to run it back and win the whole thing. And then I guess as far as the draws go, because it's the same teams, 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday before they get to the playoffs on Sunday. Really what you're going to need to do is get to CoolBet right after each draw. Very shortly afterwards, the new odds will come out. So we don't have, we can talk about particular matchups, but I think it just suggests people get to CoolBet, click on that Scotties link, and you'll see the updated championship round standings going through. And then, of course, Sunday, we'll have a play-in game and a final, which could very well be between those 2 teams that we saw go at it yesterday for first place in the group in Rachel Holman and Carrie Anderson.
Man, the momentum created from this event heading into the this is a great time for curling fans. Hey, Huss, this is where I know it's not an ideal situation. I get it, but this is working out perfectly.
Well, it really is. And, something Chris and I talked about on the show earlier today is, because of COVID, they expanded the field. They couldn't have play-ins. So if you won your province, you were in. And then they put in, that's why we're seeing there's, wild card 1, wild card 2, wild card 3, which, have all been, very competitive squads, with the Patterson rink and the Fleury rink being part of the finals. To me, the extra teams and the way that we got big round robins moving on to the championship round robin has been awesome. And when you think about, I think the wild card teams in the men's, Chris told me this morning, it's Glenn Howard, Kevin Cooey, and Mike McEwen. 3 of the great teams. Those are the wild card teams going in. So, if the Briar's anything like the Scotties, and I believe it will be, I'm a huge fan of this expanded format. Be interesting to see if that actually has any long-term effects or whether they go back to the way it was. But I got to tell you, we are going to see a collection of the best on the planet going at it next week after the ladies finish up this weekend.
And we'll have a preview for you on Tuesday's edition of the Lock Shop. So we've got our hockey, we've got our Scotties. Obviously on Tuesdays we've got our golf as well. But we always got the NFL, Huss. The NFL is always providing us with something to talk about, and more importantly, for the Lock Shop, something to bet on. And we've got that right now with Deshaun Watson here.
Yeah, so of course everyone knows Deshaun Watson wants a trade. The report came out earlier this week that he has approved a potential trade because he has a no move in his contract to Panthers, Jets, or Dolphins. So when you look at the landing spots for Deshaun Watson, where he'll play in week 1 of next season, these are the clear favorites. And I guess it shouldn't be surprising that the Texans are tied, as the lowest odds. But at the same time, everyone's expecting this trade to be made. I don't know if there'll be a lot of action coming in on the Texans. And it's just a fun conversation. Is it the Panthers, Jets, Dolphins? The Panthers number is, tied with Houston right now. So it certainly would indicate that insiders are saying the most likely destination is in Carolina. And to be honest, that probably makes a lot of sense because I think the last thing that Houston wants to do is trade Deshaun Watson in the AFC and have to deal with him, in playoffs, if they can actually get back to a respectable level and make it in. It'll be tough. So, to send him over to the NFC, I think is, probably most likely. The combination of Watson with Matt Rule in Carolina, I think, is tantalizing for a lot of reasons. And of course, the Miami thing, with the pick, the Laramie Tunsil trade, having Tua there, would he be part of the package? Really interesting. And to me, the Jets actually might be the most exciting fit and a trade that could make sense. I still believe in Sam Darnold. I think I don't think anyone should give up on Sam Darnold. He has been put in just a terrible situation with incompetent coaching, management. You name it. His second act, much like Carson Wentz, I believe, is going to be great. I really like the Jets as a spot, and they've got the draft capital as well with those picks they got in the Jamal Adams trade from Seattle.
Yeah, the Jets at plus 365. If they want to pull the trigger on this thing, they can get that done. There's no way the Jets are going to be sitting there when it's all said and done on Deshaun Watson and go, we just didn't have enough to pull the trigger on it. They have more than enough to get that done. The Panthers one is interesting. And you made a good point on getting him out of the conference. Have you seen what people are thinking it might take to get him? Christian McCaffrey, multiple first-round picks. You're giving up not just the future, because you're bringing in Deshaun Watson. That's going to make a huge difference. But you're giving up one of, if not the most versatile running back in the entire National Football League. Multiple first-round picks. I love Deshaun Watson, and I think he's worth a lot. But that price tag seems crazy to me.
Well, it's a lot. And, you know, if I'm the Texans, I'm asking for a lot right now. It's not a great situation they're in. We know how, you know, crucial it is to being relevant in the league is having, you know, a quarterback, especially an elite quarterback. So, I mean, this whole situation is fascinating. And that if they actually did make that trade and they didn't get a quarterback coming back, but got Christian McCaffrey, how hilarious would that be? Is that in back-to-back years, they trade Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, and they get back David Johnson and Christian McCaffrey, just loading up the running backs, which is the one position where people say, don't spend a first-round pick. There's replacement value guys that can come in and do the job, figure out other positions. No, all the eggs in the running back basket, but who wouldn't want to have McCaffrey on their team in their backfield? That is true.
All right, so there we go. That's what's the latest with Deshaun Watson. We might have to do a segment on Russell Wilson if things keep trending in that direction, eh?
So what did he say? He said that he would accept a trade to, I believe, the Saints, Bears, Raiders, and one other team, if I'm not forgetting. Oh, Cowboys.
Yeah, and he's not requesting a trade. He doesn't want a trade. But if he gets traded, he wants it to go to the Raiders, the Bears, the Cowboys, or the Saints. So I don't know what's going on there, buddy, but the fact that it's even a conversation is super intriguing to me.
Hey, trade Russ to the Cowboys for a king's ransom, and then sign Dak as a free agent.
Oh, there you go. Make that work. Get Deshaun Watson in. Let's just have these three guys flip spots. Send Deshaun to Seattle, send Russ to Dallas, and send Dak to Houston. Done. Taken care of. Right there.
That is why they call it the QB carousel, Dustin.
All right. That's going to do it for another episode of The Lock Shop.